Extreme constraints lead to extreme behaviors. This is a concept that I picked up from a fellow creator named Zach Pograb. If you don't know him, follow his Instagram account. Great content, all stuff. But he wrote this down on one of his pages, and that concept, that phrase, has been lingering in the back of my mind. And it's very beautifully said, very short, very straight to the point. And what the full depth of what that phrase means is, if there's something in your life that you're trying to improve, look, if you want to change a behavior, you have to start applying constraints. So if you turn the knob up a little bit more, and so if you want an extreme behavior for an extreme have sorry, if you want an extreme outcome, it's going to require extreme behaviors. And for those behaviors, you have to put into some constraints so then you are able to perform those behaviors to achieve that outcome that you're wanting. So throw this into world play. Say that you work from home, like I do most days of the week. I work from home, and so my environment of relaxation with my work of productivity environment do bleed into one another, and it is hard for me to separate the two sometimes because it's very easy for me to sit down on my couch, whether in my office or in the living room or whichever room I want to work from, and it's quite easy for me to get distracted by, hey, let me go do a load of laundry. Hey, I'm sitting on the couch. Let me just doom scroll for a couple of minutes, which leads to a long duration or a couple hours. Or just, it's easy for me to start relaxing and stuff like that. And so a example of a constraint is working from a coffee shop instead, because I drove to a place and I bought my coffee and I am here for a couple hours. I have to stay because I made all the effort to get here. And so now the constraint is I either work or I leave. And by looking at the two decisions, I'd rather stay and work and get my money's worth, my time investment and financial investment out of that, than just leaving and just driving out there for those things. So that's one form of a constraint. Or another form of constraint is like saying that you want to go to bed at a earlier time. So you log out of all your social media accounts, you turn off the TV at a certain time, that you have that non-negotiable, it is off by, let's say, 9 o'clock, and then you don't have to go to bed, but you can't watch TV or look at any screens. So by default, what else can you do? You would probably get ready for bed, and then it would influence that behavior for the outcome of you wanting to go to bed earlier. And so wherever in your life where you feel like there is a leak that is preventing you from doing a behavior, that's why when you look at behavior change from a environmental perspective, instead of asking you to harness more willpower out of thin air, because you can only be so strong or so strong-minded, why don't you just improve your environment so then you don't have to be as so tough? The decisions for you to make that you want to make is easier, right? So making sure you're applying those constraints, and the amount of constraints is completely up to you on how much you need to prevent you from doing certain things, so then you are left with very fewer options to do the things that you actually do want to do and that will actually benefit you and is in alignment with what you want to do, the behavior to get the outcome, and etc. So applying constraints in that context is very useful, because that word can be used on a spectrum of good or bad, and it can be applied within a behavior change perspective, and also in a exercise perspective as well. So say that you are trying to learn how to do a single leg movement, right? You're trying to do a dumbbell RDL, so Romanian deadlift with one dumbbell, but you are having there's instability and balance, and you're just not very coordinated when have much stability with one leg. So now if you wanted to apply a constraint, you can hold on to a wall, a squat rack, just some type of external surface for you to hold on to, for you to widen your base of support to have more stability, and that applies a constraint, so then you can focus on the movement pattern and the intention of more biasing the muscle of the posterior chain, your hamstring, your glutes, etc. So that's one example from a movement perspective of applying constraint, so then you can improve the behavior. And so this is a very this is a very cool tactic and cool way for you to just take an audit and inventory of your environment and look at what it is that you want and what is it that's getting in the way. It could be the fact that my couch, my relaxation area is too close to me, and so knowing myself, me making the poor decision to do other productive things, it's actually wasting my big time. If you from that global perspective, then me migrating to a coffee shop would be very beneficial to me, or trying to go to bed earlier, putting in those constraints and setting in those contingencies to make sure that I go to bed earlier, or through that exercise perspective as well. So this is just a really cool concept that has been lingering in my mind. It rolls off the tongue beautifully well, and so this is where I challenge you to see where is it in your life, and whatever the thing is that you're trying to improve, that you are having difficulty in. And I would challenge you to try not to point the finger first of like, hey, you should be more disciplined, you should have more willpower, you should just be mentally tougher, which is such a vague term when it comes to mental toughness, because there is mental toughness in many different ways. And so I don't want to walk down that road, but it's like, okay, how can you curate your environment to influence your behavior so then you can get the best outcome out of it without with the least amount of friction and resistance, and while also having the most amount of joy in it as well, for you to be able to tap in that flow state, which makes the whole process and the journey and the path that much more enjoyable with ease, and the likelihood of you repeating it and being frequent and consistent with it is a lot higher. So think about that, challenge you with that. See where is it that you can apply the constraints, and see where it happens. That's where the magic happens. Dope. That was a good one. Cool. As you can see, that's a big lesson I'm learning here of how I can better manage my time and my energy and my attention. And since that's such a finite resource we all have. And so, yeah, see how you can manage that. All right. See you guys tomorrow for the next one.